In this lecture, let's talk about the rest operator. So it looks very similar to the spread operator, but it works right opposite to the spread operator. And let's see how. Okay. Okay. So here we have our coding school object. And now let's see how the rest operator works. But before that, I wanted to mention like the rest operator is used on the left hand side of the assignment operator, and the spread operator is used on the right hand side of the assignment operator. Okay, and the rest operator is basically used to pack the values back into an array. Okay, and the spread operator is used to unpack the values from any iterables, if you remember from the last lecture, right? So the rest operator basically gathers all the values back and pack them into an array. Okay, so I'll write it down here for a reference. Rest operator is used on the left hand side of assignment operator. Okay, and the spread operator is used on the right hand side. Okay, and apart from this, rest is used to pack the values back in an array. Okay, and for spread, I think you know by now, like it unpacks the values, right? Okay, so now let's see an example. So let's say we have uh, let's pick an array from here. Let's say we have this array. Okay, yeah. So now I want to destructure first value, and then I also want the rest of the values. I don't want to individually destructure all these values. Then how I can do that? So the rest operator, if we are using it on the right hand side, I mean left hand side, then we have to use it with the destructuring. Okay, so we can use it like this: let and then an array where we'll pass some variable name to get the first value. Let's say first element, and then we will write triple dot and the remaining elements. Okay, and then what we will do, we will assign the array from the right hand side. Okay, so now what I have done is I have destructured the first element and stored that into this variable, which is this one, and then the remaining elements into this variable using this spread operator. And let's see how it works in the logs. Okay, so we will log the first element first. Okay, so here we got our 1, which is coming from this one, right? This is the first element, that is why we are getting it. So for this rest operator, I said like it packs all the values back into an array. So the expected thing is we should get an array, right, which contains these two elements, right? So let's see if it works that way or not. All right, guys, so we are getting a sub array, an array which contains 2 and 3. Okay, so what is the use case of it? Let's say you have thousands of elements in the array. Okay, and you just want to destructure first few elements from the array. Let's say you have, let's write 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, and 10 as well. So now you want to destructure on the first and third element. Obviously, to just to get these two elements, you're not going to destructure all these elements, right? But still you want the rest of the elements as well. How you will do that? You have to use the rest operator in that case. So let's say I want first and the third element now. I will comment this one out. So first, then I'll leave some empty space, and then third element, and then comma, and then the rest operator with the remaining elements. And it can be any variable name, right? The thing which matters here is you have to use the three dots to make it a rest object. Okay, so now here we can access the third element as well. So the third element is 3, and then we are getting the rest of the elements which are after 3. Okay, like this 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So what does that mean is this rest object, rest parameter, you can use only at the end when you are using destructuring, right? Then only it will know like until when you have to get the remaining elements. Okay, so let's say I want to use it in the beginning. Let's see what happens. Okay, okay, so here you will get a very specific error which says rest element must be last element. Okay, so here JavaScript clearly says like you have to use it at the end to gather all the remaining elements, to gather all the rest of the elements. Okay, so it's simple as that. Okay, so this is one of the use case of the rest operator. And then rest operator we can also use in functions as well. Okay, let's see that. So let's say I've created a function, let's say multiply multiplier. Okay, and here I want to pass the numbers, or actually just don't pass anything for now. Okay, and I'll call this one here. And then here also most of the beginners gets confused. So here is one more thing before writing it out I want to write is, see, this is where we pass the arguments, right? So if you use triple dot in of arguments, then it is spread operator. Okay, so if you are using these triple dots in the arguments, then it will become spread operator. That is what we have seen in the previous lecture, right? Where we have passed the array but we have used the triple dots so that it spreaded out all the elements out of this array. Okay, and here if you are using it, let me write it right above this one. If you use triple dot in place of parameters in function, then it is a rest operator. Okay, so if you're using the triple dots here, that means it will become a rest operator. It will work as a rest parameter. Okay, that is why we call it rest parameter. And here we call it spread operator. Okay, because rest we will use in the parameters and spread we will use in the arguments. Okay, so it is something like we are passing 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, and now we want to gather all these arguments into this array, into this function. Then how we can log that? Suppose we don't know like how many number of arguments the user are going to pass, but we want to collect all the arguments. How we can do that? We can simply use the rest parameter. Okay, and then we'll pass some variable name. Okay, so now with this, what it done is it gathered all the elements which a user have passed in the arguments and packed them back into an array. Okay, so as soon as I log these numbers, you will get an array of numbers. Okay, as you can see here, we are getting the array of the arguments which have been passed here. So we don't have to worry about like how many arguments the user passes, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these numbers will capture all the elements and pack them into an array. Okay, so this is one of the benefits of using the rest operator. Okay, and of course, instead of passing them individually, we can pass this array as well here, right? We can pass this array here, and then we can use the spread operator. So it will be something which is similar to this, because this operator is going to unpack this array which contains array of elements, right? And it unpacks them as the individual values. So again, as you can see, our function have collected all the values back into the logs. Okay, so now what we can do, we can make use of it. Like we can write some multiplier logic in it. Since this function says like it is for multiplication, let's write it. Let final value equals to, let's set it initially to or let's set it initially to 1. Okay, because if we set it to 0, then it will convert everything as 0, right? Then it will be not any use of us. So I'll write a for loop here. Let num, let's say, of numbers, and then I think you are already aware of this syntax for now, but we are going to discuss about these for loops in detail in one of the future lectures as well. Okay, yeah. So here what we will do, we will multiply, oh sorry, we will multiply the number whichever we are getting here. Okay, and we are going to store it back into this final value. Okay, so let's log it out. Final multiplied sum, and then here we will pass this final value. Okay, so let's start it by few simple um, values first. I'll remove it from here since we already have one for the reference, that is enough. Here I'll pass just 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, here I'll pass I think up till 6, and then here I'll pass the whole array. Okay, so let's see what happens one by one. So here we have passed 1 comma 2 comma 3. So for this we are getting final multiplied sum as 6. That means 3 into 2, that gives us 6, right? That means our function is working fine. Okay, and then let's call this one. Here we are getting 720, which is the multiplication of this all the numbers, right? And then let's pass the array which contains number from 1 to 10. So it gives us multiplication, and actually it is not the sum. Sorry for that. Yeah, so now it gives us 326 or some value which comes out after multiplication of all the numbers which are there in the array. Okay. Yeah, so this is also one of the use case of the rest parameters. Okay, and of course you can also use some other variables to read some of the arguments individually if you want to.